Warning, the following program contains scenes of death.
How did it all happen?
I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently. Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls.
To 90% of obscene material ends up in the hands of children.
These magazines with a homosexual viewpoint and poses are often not understood by many youngsters who take...
Well, you're looking good. Grandma was saying that she thought that you got quite a bit thinner, but you look fit. I don't know.
Well, I've been surviving mostly on McDonald's food. It's just so much easier just to pop into a restaurant. But
Yeah.
like I've said before, it gets too expensive and
It
I
does.
have to start eating at home more.
A serial killer. On the night of July the 22nd, a terrified young man stopped a police car to say he had escaped from a crazy killer.
I don't know where it came from, but I never dreamed that it would become a reality.
Just because you guys are against sex. He don't speak to girls anymore. He doesn't pal around with the boys much either.
Does he come in here often?
No, he's always buying magazines, stays by himself, reads. Doesn't run around with that bunch of rowdies anymore.
What did he do in here this afternoon?
I told you. Like always, he bought some magazines.
What magazines?
How should I know? I don't keep track of those things.
My childhood wasn't filled with any great tragedies or anything. There were good times and there were bad times. I think it was fairly normal. In 9th grade, in biology class, we had the usual dissection of fetal pigs. I took the remains of that home and kept the skeleton.
But the shocking, gruesome evidence came out in the middle of the night. The boxes with body parts inside, the refrigerator loaded with severed heads, the large barrel with acid inside.
And I just started branching out. Dogs, cats. I take them back in the woods, skin them sometimes, slit them all the way open, look at the organs, feel them. There was a sort of general excitement for me. I don't know why. I suppose it could have turned into a normal hobby like taxidermy, but it didn't. It veered off into this. Why, I don't know. It became a compulsion, and it switched from animals to humans. I still don't understand it. All I know is that I wanted to see what the insides of these animals looked like. I started having these obsessive thoughts when I was about 15 and 16, and they got worse and worse. Sexual fantasies of control, power, complete dominance. They became reality.
He stated he believed the reason he did not kill and dismember anymore while he was serving his tour of duty in Germany was because he enjoyed the structure of the Army. During the entire tour, lived on base and was in a dorm with 3 other men. He stated that he enjoyed the Army and wished that he would have finished his entire tour. However, his abuse of alcohol made it impossible, and the Army let him go 6 months before his tour of duty was up.
When Joyce became pregnant with Jeff, she developed seizure-type symptoms.
I think it was around age 14 or 15. Started having obsessive thoughts of violence intermingled with sex. And it just got worse and worse. I didn't know how to tell anyone about it, so I didn't. I just kept it all inside. No, I've talked with a few psychologists about it. They have their theories, but they don't have any concrete answers either. I probably will never know. But I never dreamed that it would become a reality.
But by now, Jimmy felt a fondness for Ralph, and they continued to go places together.
From 15 on, I had this reoccurring fantasy of meeting a hitchhiker on the road, and of taking him hostage and doing what I wanted. About 3 years later, I was 18 years old, driving home. I saw this hitchhiker about a mile from my house. I thought to myself, should I stop and pick him up, or should I just keep on going? I wish I just kept on going, but I didn't. I turned around, picked him up, and that's when the nightmare became a reality. It just seemed so bizarre to me that this obsession that I had been thinking about and wanting, just all the parts are there, and they make it possible to make it happen.
Remember, if you accept a ride from a stranger or offer one, you could be entering into a dangerous situation in which you have no control.
Cretinism, Mongolism.
It was not racially motivated. It was not sexual preference. It was just to find an obsession with the best-looking young man I could find. I've often wondered why I haven't had more dreams or nightmares about what I've done. For some reason, it's like it's blocked off from part of my mind. If I dwelled on the subject all the time, I wouldn't be able to function. I had no intention of hurting them. I was extremely selfish. I was only thinking of myself, my own pleasure, my own perverted desires.
We'd also like to look around some more.
Well, go ahead, but you won't find anything. I'm going to get my husband.
So what's it like, then, to be a male homosexual in...
The timing of his first fantasies of bringing another person under his control in order to engage in sexual behaviors was sometime during the high school years. The first time he tried or meant to act on that was when, at around that age, he found a particular male jogger attractive to him, and he, I believe, broke off a baseball bat, and then he concealed himself in some brush near where the jogger was expected to pass, with the idea that if the jogger came by, he would strike him on the back of the neck, make him unconscious, and enjoy the man's body sexually for a time. The jogger didn't come by, and so that didn't come to pass, and Mr. Dahmer never saw the man again. But that seems to be the first effort to put this fantasy into action.
A major factor that makes youngsters prime targets for this printed filth is the natural curiosity of youth about the mysterious force of sex. Yet, on virtually every newsstand is a welter of misinformation which can wreck them for life.
We're investigating a homicide which occurred in the apartment building in the 900 block of North 25th Street. We do have one person in custody, and we do have a body in the residence. From our investigation, we feel that this individual strongly is involved in other homicides.
Well, at this point, my friends, I wish to make it clear that the obscenity I'm talking about and the examples that I'm about to show you were not bought on the sly from under the counter. They were not purchased on Skid Row or on the other side of the tracks. They can be bought openly by anyone in drugstores, groceries, delicatessens, terminals, malt shops, cigar stores, newsstands.
We have taken evidence out of the building by the medical examiner to be examined. There were some hazardous material in the building which private contractors had to remove from the suspect's apartment.
It was really different from the way garbage smelled. It smelled worse than rotted meat.
Adaptable grill to put on his gas stove. We found this, and he said he would just kind of sear it on both sides with a little oil. He did add some condiments to it, some vegetables and mushrooms and onions, and towards the end there, that's the month before we caught him, pretty much the only meat that he ate was human.
Did you think that there was cum in the meat? That he cooked his own cum and ate his own cum?
Whether or not there was ejaculate in the meat is irrelevant, and what I consider to be offensive to the victims.
He stated that once he was in the room, he would have some conversation with the person.
22 or 23. The whole of that time, it was associated in my mind with guilt.
Why did this happen? What's the purpose of this happening? The horribleness that so many people have had to go through. I wish I could come up with an answer. That would be useful. It isn't useful to speculate on what small, tiny little things did we spank our child, and that turned him into as they called me, a monster maker. Jeff was raised with all the love and care and concern that any child could be raised with, and what happened to him, I don't know. I wish I knew. I'd give anything to know.
Jeffrey, I hate you! You faggot! I hate you! That is out of control! Don't Jeffrey, I'll kill you! I can't be motherfucker! I can kill you!
What's your name, fast?
I can kill you!
What war you went through?
I go to the nightclubs, drink, watch the striptease shows, and if I didn't meet anyone at the bars, I'd go to the bath clubs and meet someone there.
Would you have sex with them? Would you have anal sex with them? That was the intention. Not for the money.
And we'd go back to the apartment, have a few drinks. I'd have the sleeping pill mixture already prepared. Person would drink it, fall asleep, and that's when they would be strangled.
Watching the movie Exorcist 3 was also part of his ritual to put him in the mood for murder.
I felt so hopelessly evil and perverted that I actually derived a sort of pleasure from watching that tape.
Did you like feeling evil?
No, I didn't. But I had tried to overcome the thoughts, and it worked for a while, but eventually I gave in.
That boy in the store and thousands like him could become the same kind of a criminal.
Okay, hi, I'm on 25th and State,
And this is young man, he is butt naked, he has been beaten up, he is very bruised up. He can't stand, he's study fall out, he is butt naked, he has no clothes on, he was really hurt.
So I was sitting on the sidewalk. 2 girls were with me. They called the police. They came to think of the story quickly. They told him he was a friend who gets drunk. He was not wanting to go back, so one officer grabbed him by this arm, another officer grabbed him by the other arm, and they walked him up to the apartment. And they left. That's when I gave him the second checking.
Right away? And how long did it take him to die?
And that was immediate.
Intoxicated Asian naked male was returned to his sober boyfriend, and we're at 8.
Police in Wisconsin this morning are investigating a grisly discovery in a Milwaukee apartment, the discovery of pieces of bodies. Police found parts of as many as 15 human bodies inside. Police were led there by a man who told them he'd been attacked with a butcher knife.
During dismemberment, I saved heart, muscle meat, thigh, arm, bicep, liver, cut it into small pieces, washed it off, put it in these clear plastic freezer bags, and put them in my floor freezer.
Most incomprehensibly terrible crimes the human mind can conceive.
And what we are waiting for now are the actual charges, the information, the criminal complaints that will be presented from the Milwaukee Police Department and the DA's office. It will be then translated and formal charges will be filed. Here we go.
My mother gave 5 beautiful kids. We destroyed the baby of the family. And I hope you go to hell. I love this world. You guys did a wonderful job. Bottom of my heart, thanks to God, I've got a lot of strength. Thank you all. God bless America.
Jeff's condition was proven to not have anything to do with his upbringing. I don't want parents frightened to death thinking that the little things they do or the little things they miss are going to result in them having a child that is going to cause all of this pain and anguish.
Did you come in contact with the person you now know as Jeff Dahmer?
Yes, I did. He offered to give me a ride to go with him to get his car, to bring it back, to jump start my car. He had the cab drop us off a little ways away from the house because he didn't want to wake her. He lived with his grandmother, and he didn't want to wake her up.
What happened when you arrived there?
I said, I'll just wait for you here. He was going in to get his keys, I believe. And I said, I'll just wait for you here. And he said, no, why don't you just come on in? It'll just be a minute. And he offered me a drink. The next thing I recall happening was thinking to myself, why is he looking at me like that? Because for the first time, his eye contact was solid. He didn't divert it at all.
They sat in the living room while his grandmother was asleep. They laid together, kissed, and engaged in oral sex. The male said that he had to be back by morning, and Jeffrey did not want him to leave, so he fixed him a drink. When the victim fell asleep, he strangled him. After he was dead, Jeffrey laid with him for a while and then had anal sex. He placed the body in the fruit cellar and put a blanket over him. The next morning, he ate breakfast with his grandmother, and she went off to church. He kept the third victim's body for 1 week. During this period of time, he would lay with him and masturbate.
It was about a 1-foot square box, metal and wood box, that I thought contained pornographic material. You know, I didn't want her to come into contact with any of that stuff. And asked him to open it up, and he refused. He said, "I'd rather not." And I said, "Jeff, open it up. I just want to see what's in there." And he said, "Can't I have any privacy in the house at all? Just this 1 square foot of privacy." And I said, "Jeff, open it up, or I'm going to just take it down into the basement and get a screwdriver or something and open it up." I just opened it up. And he got angry, very visibly agitated, and said, "If I can't have 1 square foot of privacy, then I'm just going to leave." So he walked out of the house, and then I took the box, and then he came in the back door just as I was going down the basement steps, and he said, "I'm sorry, Dad. I lost my temper."
You just stand there and smile while these kids get the impression that sex is dirt and lust and love are the same thing, that it's okay to try perversion just for kicks.
He said, "Just wait. I'll open it up tomorrow morning and show you what it is. Just let me put it away now." And I said, "Okay, get rid of it now, and I don't want to, see any more of it around here." He said, "Okay, Dad." And that was the end of that incident, and I didn't realize what was in that box. Well, as I learned later, after the trial, it was one of the human heads.
Maybe he would die. That would mean I had murdered him.
I would like to say to Jeffrey Dahmer that he don't know the pain, the hurt, the loss, and the mental state that he had put our family in.
Sometimes he would have sex with the individual as they were unconscious, but always after they were dead as well. So it became, I think the preference was for the dead person, because that way he didn't have to deal with conversation. He didn't have to deal with denials or rejections. It was strictly on his own turf at that time. He had all of his victims back in his apartment, where he would be able to enjoy himself by going through the rituals that he needed to perform acts of sexual activity combined with destruction of the bodies.
He would come back from work and make love with the dead body. He would sleep with it. He would lie with it. He would rub it and have sex with it. He wanted to be the giver. He did not want to be the receiver of homosexual sex. Actually, he enjoyed oral and anal sex, but did not want anyone to perform anal sex on him.
I'm brainier than a lot of gay guys.
I spent a lot of time thinking.
I wasn't getting the satisfaction from having to kill people. So I took it to a new level. I had a hand drill that I use for normal things, like installing my alarm system and everything. Drills a small bore within the skull very quickly. And with a large syringe, I filled that up with gruesome, injected it into it.
Filled it?
Yeah, injected it into the front lobes, hoping to produce a zombie-like state.
Was he certifiably insane?
There were 4 fully fleshed skulls still there, sitting in the refrigerator.
One of the officers said he opened the icebox. He heard a scream.
It was only later that he realized that he was the one screaming.
The suspect may well have been involved in at least 17 homicides.
Let me draw your attention to Saturday night, March 25th, 1989.
Rubber and leather garments, and all the rest. And here again, an appeal to the sodomist, to the play upon the button.
I just reminded him that that Sunday was Easter and that I had plans to be with my family.
I repeat, my friends, I have not shown you these pictures and quoted from this material merely to shock you, or make this presentation sensational. It is only to show what is openly available on your newsstands. And think of this. What you have just seen is not the worst material available. And yet, even this required editing to make it suitable to be shown in this film. The vast majority of this material is too obscene to show or to quote to you.
And a special thanks to the Ass Pussy Dancers. Aren't they just splendiferous, introducing us to a whole